Alright, so this video is going to be more of a gameplay rather than a tutorial video. And this is going to be a live commentary over Lunar rushing as Woodie. He is one of the only characters that can do this very confidently and very early on. And hopefully with this world, we'll have got onto the Lunar Islands before day 6. I think that's very reasonable. And I think that that's pretty common that you may be able to achieve it yourself. There's no mods, and make sure that you generated the caves as well. But aside from that, as with every world, you'll want to decide whether it's a grass gecko or a regular grass world. Looks like we got grass geckos. Not too bad of a start either. Having a savanna biome right next to start is really nice. So instead of cutting regular evergreen trees, we're going to be looking for birch nuts. Birch nuts are a really good food source very early on as Woodie. So the main reason of why Woodie is amazing at lunar rushing is his weregoose form. It comes to no surprise that this form is particularly good for traveling, for discovering new areas, scouting, mapping, but we're not actually going to be using the weregoose form all that much when it comes to exploring. We're just going to be using it for crossing the water. Butterflies are always free, you might as well take them. Don't worry too much about your sanity in this run. We want it to be low by the time that we reach the islands. And a short checklist for what you may want to bring to the islands would be along the lines of at least 10 grass, 4 silk, 4 gold at least, or a pre-built alchemy engine. There are rocks and there is also wood on the island, so you don't need to worry much in that manner. Load food supplies would be pretty decent. At least one main food source when you approach the islands itself. Otherwise you will most likely starve. Exiting your weregoose form will cause you to immediately starve, so that's an issue. But once again, the birch nuts are a great food source. I would avoid food sources like cacti and perishing food sources such as juicy berries. Stick to long-lasting ones like birch nuts. Additionally, you may want to consider items that can drop your sanity quickly, such as green mushrooms. You won't be doing a lot of fighting when it comes to the Lunar Island, so I wouldn't worry about collecting pigskin. Right now it's just going through the map and exploring it. As far as biomes go, we're looking for a desert for fast twigs and grass, and we're also looking for a rocky spider biome, or a spider plains as some people call them. Additionally, when it comes to finding out how your map is oriented and what type of map it is, you'll just want to be running along the edges. The ocean generates last as far as generation goes, and the Lunar Islands ends up splitting off parts of the land often. But if there's no clear giveaways, then you may be able to just look at your map and decide where the Lunar Islands would spawn. There's typically 2 good spots on every map that the Lunar Islands has a possibility for spawning with. Whenever I'm trying to decide where a Lunar Island spawns, it's typically in line with where another biome would spawn. There's a very vacant spot on the map that I haven't even touched yet, and that's typically where I decide that it's a possibility. So even though there are no dead giveaways as to the Lunar Islands being here, we are at one of the tips of the map, so with a bit of confidence, I am going to end up eating this. Once I come out, I'll be starving, so I have these blue caps. And I can clear a lot of suspect area. There's this huge area right here where there's a Lunar Island spawn. On the other side of the map, it could be here or around here. But I'm gonna go for this and hope that I get it. Goose form does last quite a while, so even if it's not over here, we'll be able to return to the mainland and keep searching. Of course, this is helpful for scouting salt biomes. Salt biomes are pretty desirable for a lot of people. And Lunar Islands have shallow waters, so the color of the water on your map will begin to change as you approach the Lunar Islands. Similarly with salt biomes, your map will show shallow water. This is a really decent salt biome, so I'm not too worried. Once again, another salt biome. I need to curve up to get the minimum distance. Typically, when scouting, you want to stay a fair far bit away from the land. Oh, yep. Okay. Here we go. So these are the Lunar Islands. We actually guessed correctly. This could be part of the archipelago. I don't know. This is not part of the archipelago because there's rocks. The archipelago typically consists of beaches, and right now during Goose Form, don't just stand still, start to scout everything. Mostly scout out the rock biome, start to get an idea of where you'll be placing your lunar station. And as soon as we come out of Where Goose Form, we're going to immediately eat our mushrooms. 100 lunacy and above is quite difficult to work with. It's not difficult, but it can be annoying. So I would recommend those green caps, as I had said earlier. The blue mushrooms are particularly helpful because they give you hunger and health, and they also drain your sanity. Sanity loss is good. So it looks like our rock biome on the Lunar Islands is pretty decent. We have all three formations. I want to look for a a socket. This is probably where I'll be socketing my alchemy engine. Yeah, I actually want to do that. I don't want to explore. So while you're on the Lunar Islands, you'll end up getting a lot of gold if you need it. You'll end up getting a lot of moon rocks. Though this rock biome is particularly small, I think I only saw 5 or so moon rocks. 6. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's unlucky. If you wanted to go one step further beyond this example video, you could invent all of your items before coming to the Lunar Islands, but since we found the mixed mushroom forest, there is no need. I can drain my sanity as I desire on the Lunar Islands without penalty. Those rocks that we collected were for the alchemy engine. It was foolish of me to make a fire pit, but we're going to end up using it. And with our alchemy engine up, we can actually begin to craft our opulent tools, and then we can begin getting the formation together. During the day, you'll want to move the formation, and during the evening, you'll want to be crafting and doing all of your other things. If you brought a lantern, you can do anything during any time of the day, but during the day, yeah, you'll want to be moving the inviting formations. Other things of note, you don't need to worry about bringing too much wood, as there's wood on the island, and we do plan on bringing back some lunar trees. I haven't made my backpack yet because I would have to set it down immediately. Keep in mind that to get off of the island, you would need 2 monster meat and at least 3 seeds. Birds do land on the island, so you won't have to worry too much about the seeds. They'll come naturally over time. When all 3 pieces are ready to go, you slot in the base first, then the orb, and finally the idol. And now you're ready to craft all of your lunar items. You just need to get them first. I will most definitely be getting a backpack on me. Additionally, all of those birch nuts that I recommended picking up, you'll be using them now. Any birch nuts that you don't use will be planted on the islands. But 8 should do for about now, and we're going to begin picking up glass. Having the moon rocks early is great for getting the celestial portal up, but once again, getting the smooth meteor is partially dependent on how many rocks that you've mined in the world. So make sure to do that. Make sure to mine as many rocks once you get off of the lunar islands. If you're playing on a multiplayer server, you'll probably get the smooth meteor pretty quickly. But if you don't, just keep mining, and eventually you'll get it. Having quick access to the celestial portal is really good, of course. Not a lot of people like playing Woodie into the late game, and that's pretty understandable. You'll be tearing through a lot of gold pickaxes. And finally, one of the last things that we'll probably be doing, aside from the beach biome, is collecting wood and also collecting lunar butterflies. Make sure to only be chopping the tier 3 trees. If you find yourself not having silk as of the moment and you've already caught butterflies, you can keep one in your inventory so that you can feed the rest later. I don't think that I want to be eating any more blue caps as of the moment, even though my health is a little bit, just missing a little bit. Additionally, you can pick up the Loon Tree Blossoms and mine additional rocks for Niter to get some Bath Bombs going. Bath Bombs assure that when you come back to the next Lunar Island adventure, you'll have glass ready to go. I left Chester at the caves because, one, I'm forgetful. I forgot that I had Chester. But additionally, I don't think that it's very realistic that you'll have Chester 100% of the time when going for Lunar Island. I'm going to be condensing all my logs into boards for glass cutters. "15 boards will last at least another trip. I'm going to be getting Niter for those Bath Bombs. It's probably a good idea to have an alchemy engine pre-built before you come back to the mainland. That would be a really good idea. Unfortunately, our sanity is beginning to go higher, so we won't be staying here too much longer. I forgot my spider silk. One of the final things that you can look to do on the Lunar Islands is to collect anemones. I wouldn't bother picking up the bulk help, as they could be useful for late game purposes in mega bases. They're typically an easy and instant year-round veg. They're especially helpful for people who like living in the caves for summer and often come up without food during the autumn. That being said, I wouldn't use them as weapons, as I do not believe that they're renewable in any manner. Anemones are great for mob farms. Aside from that, I think that they're something that you should get used to harvesting. They can be a little bit tricksy. Unfortunately, my lunar islands seem to be pretty sparse as far as resources go. Yours will definitely be a lot more loaded with anemones and rock fruit. This is a pretty low harvest. 20 stone fruit bushes are... It's not a terrible amount, but it's also not stellar. I've gotten upwards of 30. But with all of this done, we're going to top off our butterflies and take off with our goose idol. Make sure that you don't have anything in your equipable slot, and also make sure that you don't get stunned. Okay. So there are still glass cutters here, but that's not too big of an issue. Right now we should, during our goose form, look for the archipelago, and it just so happened that it was nearby. The archipelago will have more bulk help, and it'll also have more anemone. Occasionally it'll have glass chunks here and there. This can be helpful for specific farms. You can do a whole lot of stuff as Wicker here with books, since you'll never be going insane. It's pretty handy. But yeah, aside from that, this was very successful. This is my first world that I've attempted doing this on. I typically do this. I've been really in love with Lunar rushing, and if you haven't done it, I would recommend it. It's really rewarding. Stone fruit is an all-around vegetable. It's all year-round vegetable. It's really decent for keeping new players alive and even servers alive. You even harvest rocks while collecting the stone fruit itself. I think it's a really good addition to Don't Starve Together. I think that the Lunar Islands are really fun, they're really unique. And if you get an all-twiggy tree world, then you can definitely get some lunar saplings for your team. All that's left to do is find a base spot and put everything down. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching.